Okay, everyone. I think something happened. I was just trying to switch around. So thank you for being here. This is the Dr. Inia Desmia show where I help SMEs thrive. SME is the small and medium-sized enterprises, which belongs to small and medium-sized businesses. So what I do here is that I really make sure that I provide resources for SMEs to do well. Now, today I have a very interesting topic, and my topic is um, using a representative. Now, using a representative, of course, when I'm talking about using a representative, I'm talking about using a representative when it comes to issues with the government generally, taxes, right? Now, some states don't have employment, they don't have state taxes, but they have employment taxes, right? So it falls under that. And also when the flip side, when we look at the IRS taxes, right? Now, there are a lot of representatives. We have attorneys that represent clients, but I'm looking at it in respect of CPAs, right? Now, when we're looking at a CPA representing a client, usually a CPA is actually supposed to sign either a power of attorney or the form 8821, which is either the 2848 or the 8821. The 8821 is actually really for information to get some information for the client, and it doesn't really give a thorough or in-depth, um, you know, um, should I say knowledge, or it doesn't allow you full access to the client's information and the client's documentation. So I always tell any CPA and the client that the best way to go is to get a form 2848 power of attorney. And I know a client has asked me before. I said, does this mean that it's a power of attorney for everything in their life? No, 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 no. Form 2848 specifically, when we're looking at Form 2848, is authorization which applies to the IRS. So I'm looking at the IRS at this time. So a Form 2848. Now, why is it important to have a representative? I have handled so many cases when it comes to clients that have issues, right? Issues with the government taxes, taxes. And sometimes, I mean, a lot of times they come to me after the fact when they have the problem, when they have the situation, when they're going through stuff, they come to me after the fact. Okay. And so it's then I step up and represent the client. The reason why this is so important is because many people don't understand the intricacies of what is required and what is not required, and what they have to provide and what is needed for them to clear up some things, right? For the IRS, and they don't really get it, right? They just, they don't, maybe sometimes they get very emotional when they get notices from the government and from that. So let's zero into the IRS right now. So they get emotional. Oh, why should it happen? Why is this? And that's not going to solve the problem. That's not going to solve the problem. So when you have a CPA representing you, in this case, what I'm just referring to, what my practice does or what other CPA practices do, I can't really. I mean, that's what they're authorized to do. So, but let me zero in on what we do. We when clients have those kind of issues and they come to my practice, what I do is that I just really sit back and look at where are we right now and what is required. What does the IRS need? What do they want? Right. And a lot of times clients get so caught up, and they don't really understand what is really required by the IRS. They don't really go into the notices. They just browse through and not really dig in and say, okay, this is what's required. This is what I need to do, which causes a problem later on, right? So the reason why it's so important, right, to get a CPA to represent you and dig into the intricacies and say what is required, what is needed, and then clear it is because you don't want to add more problems. Another thing is that we are all about time. It's about timing. It's very important for you to get things done on time, right? When is it due, the due date, and when I mean are we meeting the deadlines, right? I am very strict with deadlines because I know what happens when we don't meet deadlines, with government deadlines. So sometimes clients take it for granted, but because I've worked with several clients before and I've worked with a lot of revenue officers are those staff that work with the Internal Revenue Service, where sometimes it's really, really, I mean, a certain amount that is, then they say, okay, you know what, this has reached this amount. Maybe the taxpayer is not responding. Say, okay, you know what, I'm giving you to the revenue officer to handle that issue, right? And so I have talked and worked with revenue officers and been able to solve clients' issues, right? And most of the times, some clients have even come to me and say, "Oh, I've given it to somebody else," and they when at this when they we got to at this point, the client said, or the person that was supposed to be doing the job to clear up the issue says, you know what, I don't know what to do from here, right? And what happens, and I tell people all the time, ignorance is no excuse. You can't say, oh, I was depending on somebody. That's why I'm in this position. No, because if you're the owner of a business, you are supposed to know what is required, right, for that business to succeed, right? So you can't the excuse can never be, oh, the person is supposed to know better, or the person I work with, you are supposed to know, that this is what is required. This is your that's your knowledge base. So it's very important for you to work with a CPA that understands the intricacies, what is required, so that, I mean, you don't have to have that excuse that, oh yeah, I did not know, right? I wasn't sure. I depended on somebody, right? And so it's very important that you choose the right representative, and not, I always say, don't wait until you get a notice. Don't wait, right? Compliance is very important, right? So I always advise people to work with a CPA, I mean, from day one, right? And if you haven't been doing that, get a CPA to work with you and just, work with your company throughout the year, the whole, not only tax season. So if there happens to be an issue, a problem, it could be a past issue, what the CPA would do is, okay, I mean, or what we do is that, okay, this is what's going on, let's tackle it. I mean, and make sure that this is resolved. Maybe sometimes you might say, okay, it's not your, why didn't your past CPA do this, or maybe past accountant, why did the person respond to do this? I always tell people you can deal with that later. We need to resolve this problem so it will not turn into something bigger than what we see right now, right? So again, it's so important that you don't work alone, or you don't work in isolation of a CPA. Make sure that somebody represents you, right? In any instance that you have any notice from maybe tax notice is very important, because interpretation is very important, because you have to understand what the notice requires, right, before you even respond. And do not put it up. I've said this several times. Dates are so important. Dates are so important in responding to notices. So it's very important for you. I mean, you're a busy person, and you understand that business owners are very busy. And I always say kudos to them. Kudos to all of you, all your business owners that actually stepped up and said, you know what, I want to start a business. Kudos and kudos and kudos. Excellent, right? So I know that, sometimes you are so busy and you don't have time to, oh, look at this and look at that and make sure you're compliant. But it's so easy, right? Or let me flip the coin and say it's so difficult to build a business. It's so difficult. I know you sweat hours, long hours, and then eventually your business has reached a certain point and you say, yeah, yippee, you're so happy, excited. Then all of a sudden, because you're not compliant, right, with the government regulations, you're not complying with your taxes, you're not complying with all those things that are required for you to be, be okay. I mean, right, with the government, right? The government comes after you. And that business that you took so long to build, falls. You don't want that to happen, right? I always liken this to, you see siblings, right? One builds a Lego, castle and takes time, and another one comes and just kicks it, right? And little kids, they say, "Oh my goodness!" And there are issues, and of course, there are little kids, and of course, you resolve that. But you know what I mean. You don't want that to happen, and that's why just to really, really say this again, and just reemphasize this or emphasize this, that it's so important for you to have a CPA that actually works with you throughout the year. Now, you don't have to have someone that is there, employ someone full time. We do outsourcing for our clients. As clients outsource us and we work with them, we have a flat fee. And then if anything comes, any lettering, we make sure that is resolved immediately before the deadline is sent to the government. We responded, everything is responded to, and we're good to go. So it's so important because, again, there's no ignorance. You can't say, oh, I didn't know. because it's your responsibility. You have to know, you have to understand how your business process works. Compliance is very important. So that's why it's so important that you should work with a representative, in this case, a CPA, to make sure that compliance is good. And apart from that, you respond to notices as needed. You don't want to miss out on deadlines. All right. And of course, if you don't have a CPA, of course, please, that's our website, the driniadesonia.com. Please go to the website and connect with my practice, and then we'll be very glad to connect with you and work with you. All right. So again, very happy to be here. And of course, you know that for an SME, a small business enterprise or business to thrive, what do you need to do? You have to be intentional about it. All right. Thanks for being here. Yes, I will definitely see you next.